770 miles in a round trip travelled over the last few days for Nigel Clough and his Stags, and yet I'm still unsure about the destination. A late draw was a sickener to see at Stevenage, and then a bit of a weird performance at Plymouth on Tuesday night as well. Leaves the Stags 8 points off the playoffs with 3 games in hand and 7 points clear off the drop zone with a game in hand. The destination is unknown. Something is missing from Mansfield Town, but what is it? And more importantly, where are we going? We'll discuss all of that on tonight's Mansfield Matters podcast, as we reflect on the 1-1 draw at Stevenage and the 1-1 draw at Plymouth Argyle on Tuesday night. Did you make the long journeys? What did you make of the two performances? And what do you think we're missing? Let us know in the comments on the live feed and join us as we talk all things Mansfield Town. Why? Well, quite simply, because Mansfield always matters. Hello, good evening and welcome to the Mansfield Matters podcast, the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters, no matter how long the journey is. Well, to those of you that travelled to Plymouth on Tuesday night, I take my metaphorical hat off to you, because that is one hell of a journey. But hey, at least we brought a point home with us to continue the unbeaten start to 2026. How long will the run continue for? Can it extend against Wycombe on Saturday, and much, much more in between? Joining me to talk all things Mansfield Town this evening and to reflect on the last two games, Stevenage a 1-1 draw, conceding in the last minute, and of course Plymouth a 1-1 draw on Tuesday night. I've got two mega Stags fans who can all share different experiences of the last two games. First and foremost, let's say hello, good evening, and welcome to a man who will be back in his natural habitat on Saturday afternoon. Here's Mr. Alan Wilson. Evening, Al.
Evening, Craig. Evening, everybody.
And let's say hello, good evening, and how the hell are you feeling after an epically long drive? It's Mr. Clive Parkin. Evening, Clive.
Hello, Craig. Hello, everybody. Yes, it's been a good couple of days, and I've enjoyed it. It's a lot of driving, and I'm glad we stayed over.
Yeah, absolutely. If only Nick was around to do service station or cheese, I think you may be best suited, Clive, to answer all the service stations. So I imagine a journey like Plymouth on Tuesday night, both going down on Tuesday and coming back on Wednesday as you did. There was a fair few stops.
Actually, we only had one stop going down. I can't remember which one it was now, but we stopped. It's one with the Marks and Spencers on it. That was all right. We had a bit of a break there. And coming back, we stopped at the one that looks like Teletubbyland near Gloucester. But we didn't have anything to eat because we couldn't afford it. It was too expensive. So it was just a tiddle break, really.
Yeah, you do need a mortgage when you go to service stations like that. That is very, very true.
It's beautiful. It's got its own farm shop. It's absolutely fabulous. But everything's so expensive. It's aimed at people from Cheltenham, not from Edwinstowe.
Well, I was in London on Wednesday and I saw 2 theatre shows and went to get some ice cream at the interval and said, "Can I have 2 tubs of vanilla ice cream, please?" She said, "Yes, certainly, sir. That'll be £16." I went, "You can keep your ice cream." So yes.
You see, I would have said then, if somebody says that's £16, I would have said what I always say, which is, I didn't pay that for my first car.
Well, there you go. Was it a nice journey and a nice experience, though? Because the last time I went to Plymouth, we got absolutely battered. It was my birthday as well, and I drove there and back on the day.
Well, we didn't get battered. And we never expect anything from Plymouth. So to come away with a point, I'm perfectly happy with that. If someone had said at the beginning of the weekend we get a point from both of those destinations, I'd have been happy with it. With reasons on both different occasions to think about it slightly differently. But the journey was great. It's a long journey, but we didn't have any problems going down. There was no hold-ups. The weather was a bit miserable, but we got there and the sun was shining. And the hotel's right in the middle of Exeter, and we met one or two Stags fans staying there as well. So, but then the following, then when we had a bit of a break and a shower and shave and everything, it's a long way from the city centre to the ground.
Especially if you stayed in Exeter, Clive.
So did I say Exeter? I'm sorry, Plymouth. Yes, well, it could have been that for how long. And we were walking, going, and someone said, "Oh, it's only a 15-minute walk. Go through the park." Well, we got lost in the park because it was pitch black. I was looking behind every bush for a molester. I couldn't find one.
You were gutted about that, weren't you?
I was most disappointed. But and there's no floodlights like at normal grass. You can't look in the sky and find them. Anyway, we got there eventually. We got there in good time, but we didn't hazard the journey coming back. We jumped on a bus.
Well, there you go. It was, I'm glad you had a nice time and you enjoyed yourself and had a safe journey down there. Alan, your experience of Tuesday night was very, very different indeed, because you were sat on the sofa watching it on Sky Sports Plus, I imagine. What did you make of it? We'll work backwards from Plymouth, I think, tonight.
Well, the first 20 minutes, I thought, oh dear, this isn't looking too good. But when Nigel changed the shape and put Deji in midfield, it started to look a bit better. And like I said to Craig earlier on, whether Sweeney actually got a toe to the ball, I'm not sure. But fair play to it. He was there at the time. And I thought we're well deserved of a point. But I thought their number 8 was very, very lucky to stay on the pitch.
Yeah, he was. I was watching it in a hotel, Clive, on a small screen. So I didn't have the best view of it. But how their number 8 stayed on the pitch for the full 90 minutes is beyond me. I think he had the one early on Ollie Iro, didn't he? And then one in the second half, Clive, on Lucas Akins, which led to...
He could have been sent off for the Iro tackle. It was 2-footed off the ground. And he'd actually got mad because he'd been denied a claim for a foul earlier, and his dander was up and he went for him. And, in my opinion, that's an automatic red card. But the referee, by and large, I think it's fair to say, didn't favour the home team at all, which is a real change for the Stags to have a referee who's, if anything, has helped us slightly. And they were up in arms about it. I was speaking to some of their fans on the way back, and they were saying, he gave us nothing. I said, well, he was consistent. You were doing all the attacking, therefore you were drawing all the fouls, and we were having to deal with them. You were bound to feel more aggrieved by the referee than we were. I said, we've seen some referees in our time up at our place. And let me tell you, I'd have this one there anytime because he was consistent. He might not have favoured us in your situation. And if we had him at the field mill, he might not be favouring us either. But he was good by comparison to the rubbish we've had. And I thought that both teams played the game in a good spirit. I thought it was difficult. The conditions weren't perfect. Stags were woeful in midfield, and the change was required at half time. It made all the difference. Lewis and what's his name, the ex-Wrexham lad? What's he called?
Luke Bolton.
Luke Bolton. They may as well not been on the pitch, quite honestly. And it made a lot of difference when they were exchanged at half time. The other thing was, Rhys Oates may as well not been there. He could have had a day off because he got nothing to his feet all day. It was a game we were playing, we were defending, and it got to the point where their players knew that he wasn't going to get the ball, so they just left him alone. He had the quarter of the pitch to himself.
I do feel, Alan, that the performance on Tuesday night was a little bit of a hangover from the Stevenage game, which is another reason why I was sort of working backwards from it, because, of course, the Stevenage game being the first one this year that we've not won, drew in the last minute, we were winning, and then, of course, a goal in very questionable circumstances, which we can delve into a little bit more. But I think, first and foremost, I think we should probably stick on the point of a hangover, because we concede in circumstances which are questionable and gets our guards up. And the one thing that I don't think any of us see is Lewis Reed getting a second yellow card and being sent off. He therefore suspended. He missed, of course, the Plymouth game. He'll miss the game against Wycombe on Saturday. And I think that is the starting point for me, Alan, of where our problems lied, because we were very, very light in midfield on Tuesday. We were nowhere near good enough for 20 minutes. It highlighted to me, like I said to you beforehand, that Aaron Lewis for me isn't good enough in certain games. We need another defensive midfielder, and we only really got away with it when we put Dave in there.
Yeah, and as regards Lewis Reed, I was as surprised as anybody else when I heard that he'd got the red card after for 2 yellows. And I just think that's irrespective of how people are goading you and whatever. It should be more professional in not doing that. But I mean, it's easily said, I suppose, to get goaded and backbite and then take consequences after. But we certainly missed him. We missed his passing. Because Sweeney tried to pass a few like that, but it wasn't quite as successful as what Reed usually is.
No, it was a Sweeney mistake that led to their goal, of course. And, and a finish, although I thought, and I'm not critical, I can't be critical of our keeper, certainly not on Tuesday night, but I thought on another day, he'd got his hand to that. But, but there you go, that's football. Are we right? Is it two games suspended for Reed? I thought you only got 1 for 2 yellows.
I think it was violent. Was it violent conduct or something like that? It was
violent or abusive language towards the officials, and I think there's that. And it's to be honest, you could look through all the FA rules and you could find the exact one, and it'd still be wrong because, like Nigel Clough says, it changes every single week. Like that's which is another issue from Stevenage, isn't it, Alan? He came out after the game and says, "Well, they've brought in this new thing now where they're being told to add on other random stoppages," which of course, the week previously we wouldn't have played that many minutes. The game would have been over and done with. It's baffling. It really is.
3 minutes on Tuesday night. 3 minutes. No way is 3 minutes adequate for a normal second half with substitutions and the odd injury.
So isn't it 30 seconds for each substitution?
Well, it might have been. They may have changed that without bothering to tell you and me.
I have a feeling that used to be the case. And I mean, we made all our subs, and then we bought 2 on like straight after, but we bought all ours on. And I think they used a good amount of theirs. So
don't get me wrong. I was happy it was only 3 minutes because we were under the cosh.
It's just 3 minutes. They've added them up with the subs.
But their manager's not happy about the 3 minutes.
Well, when are managers ever happy?
Well, no, but he says he's complaining to the referee's body about it. But at the end of the day, you can shout as much as you like; they'll still end up doing what they want to do.
Yeah, this is very, very true indeed. Let's stay with the lightness in midfield, shall we, for a minute, Clive? Because we are still in the transfer window. There's not long left to go in it. We sort of hinted last week that we felt like we needed a Jamie McDonald replacement. And I think if Tuesday teaches us anything, it's that we know we're not going to get a like-for-like Jamie McDonald replacement, but there are defensive midfielders out there, and I think we definitely need one. Lewis Reed being suspended, that was a massive miss. McDonald not being in there, that's a miss. Yes, Dave can sit in there and did a sterling job by all accounts, but we need that little bit of backup and grit, someone that's a little bit more defensive-minded. We tried Regan Hendry there for a little while, didn't work. We tried John Russell there for a while, worked to a degree, but I wouldn't be comfortable with it over the course of 90 minutes. Is much more better in an attacking position. So perhaps in the coming days, we will be refreshing the social media feeds of Mansfield Town Football Club and hoping to see a defensive-minded midfielder coming in.
It's who's available, who's affordable, who will fit into the scheme of things. Beyond my pay grade to understand that. The reality is we are one person short of enough in that position, because you say it takes a suspension or an injury, we've got a problem. And I think what we need is somebody more robust. What McDonald was that. He was robust. Without being a thug, he didn't stand any nonsense from anybody, and he was uncomplicated, and that's what's made him attractive to another club. And we needed somebody like that. We're not going to get another McDonald. I think we just have to try and make do with what we've got with an additional player. I think bringing Dave out of the back four helps because it condenses the game a little bit, and that helped us in the second half, and therefore there's less pressure on the midfield pairing, and they were better anyway, the midfield pairing, than the ones that have been on in the first half. Clough's just going to have to mix and match, isn't he?
It's different formations for different games, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
think the only danger for that, Alan, is it does what you don't like, and I'm not massively comfortable with it. It gives a little bit of an imbalance because, again, we were playing with a back four with 3 left footers in there.
Yeah.
And for a while, Bailey Cargill actually started again at left back, didn't he? Which was, he didn't have his best game again until he slotted back into centre back.
No, because it moved right over in the second half, didn't it? It was nearer Aikens than Sweeney was, or he's sent to be all the time. But I thought Bailey Cargill, after his first probably 10 minutes, I thought he had a really, really good game. It was
he settled into it
in that defence. That he was.
Yeah, he certainly settled into it. There's definitely options in there. I think one positive, Clive, is we saw Kyle Noyle come back on Tuesday night. He was back in the match day 18 and got a fair few minutes under his belt as well. So there's a possibility if we needed to there, and we needed to do a little bit of a more balanced shuffle. Noyle at right back, Hewitt and Sweeney at centre back, and Cargill left back, or even a back five introducing Macker or Blake Tracy back in there when they're available. So it's not like we're short on options defensively, which I guess then actually does free up Dave to go and sit in CDM.
Yeah, and it's not like it's new territory for him, is it? He's done it before, and the man has got skill, and he has got adaptability, and he's got a bit of pace, and that, he's the only person from the defensive setup you could do that with, I think. And I think it's got to be worth a trial while we are a little bit light in the middle. Because, if you can take some of the pressure off those people in the middle by doing that, it does mean you're setting up more defensively. But that's not such a problem because actually we have a rocket of a player. All he needs is a couple of opportunities and he'll convert one. Didn't get any on Tuesday night, but I've already covered that one.
Yeah, very true. Keep your comments coming in. Have your say on your team on the show for the fans, by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters podcast. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. Thomas has been in touch and says, always remember Nigel doesn't care where you naturally play. He'll probably play Fraser Break Tracy at CDM or something like that. Marie says, we'll have to bring a keeper in. Roberts posted on his Instagram his wife is expecting in the spring. You have to assume he could be missing a game. Well, Marie, you know what the option is. We all want to see it. A last minute call up for the main man JB9 in goal. It could happen, but yes, I do agree that we need to look at bringing a number 2 keeper, and we'll touch upon that again in just a second. Where else am I? Matt says, I think pushing Dave into midfield creates unbalance in defence with Cargill, Sweeney both being left-footed. Thomas says, I can see Dave starting at CDM on Saturday. He played really well there as well. Kathy says, we definitely miss Reedy in midfield at Plymouth. Thomas says, Luke Bolton can be a threat, but we tried playing him at centre and attacking midfield, and that's far from his natural position. I also think with Luke Bolton, Alan, that he's just needs a little bit more time to get back in, and he's one of those players, a little bit like little Nobby Welsh, that suits certain positions and certain formations, and when you try tinkering with that, he's not a player that is as flexible and as fluid as what the others are.
No, it's probably a confidence thing as well, because he hasn't had many tryouts. Obviously, he's just been injured, as we know. He's just come back, couple of games, got a start. He didn't do any, he didn't pull any trees up, but I don't think he did himself an injustice because he did a couple of runs, but that was about it. But he does defend quite well when needed. And that, that works same as Iro did on the other side of the pitch. They both defended well. But I think it might be a confidence thing with Bolton. If he has one good runner to play and skips past him and, either puts the ball in or scores, I think that'll set him up for the rest of the season.
Yeah, let's talk about Ollie Iro for a second, Clive, because obviously he had a fantastic debut, comes off the bench at half-time, scores twice, gets an assist. Then obviously at Stevenage, sort of hit and miss. He got his first start. Started again on Tuesday at Plymouth. Early doors, we obviously saw that tackle from their number 8, which sort of unsettled him a little bit, and then he was sort of moved. Played right wing, he played in the middle for a little bit as well, went up front for a while as well, sort of showing his capability and his versatility, but maybe we're sort of seeing the side of the game which you see when you bring young loan players in, and they've not had that experience with the rough tackles and how to deal with players getting in your ear. Which, to be fair, their number 8 did very, very well. He sort of got into him early, young confidence player, and just sort of took him down a peg or two.
Yes, he's learning what men's football is all about, and nobody will take prisoners. He's going to get clattered. He's going to get people that are brighter than him as footballers, and they're going to deal with him. He was somewhat anonymous most of the game, I felt. That's not a criticism. I thought the game didn't lend itself to his skills anyway. He did put the pass in that resulted in our goal, but generally speaking, he wasn't. And it would be unfair to expect him to have been as bright and as dynamic as he was in his debut. I think that's something you just write off now as being something special. But he's got a lot of growing to do into the game. And I think when our squad's fully available, I don't see him being an automatic choice.
Now, earlier on in the podcast, you may have sort of saw me messing about on the table and thinking, what on earth is Craig doing? Now, I was doing some arts and crafts, okay, because there was a couple of comments, which I'm going to come on to, that deserved one of these. However, it's not that particular comment which deserves what's about to happen now. I'm even going to put it on screen, right? Chris and Lisa Duval 5660 with the question, do you support Chelsea? In fact, I think I need to make another one, which is an automatic red. What part of the title Mansfield Matters, and we've spent the last 22 minutes talking about League One Mansfield Town, has a hint or suggestion that we support Chelsea?
This is a hangover from last podcast when Alan was doing his what's in Alan's bin, which was Stamford Bridge. That's what it is. It's scooped up some latent Chelsea fans.
The bafflingness that's just gone to my brain is as baffling as Jim watching Love Island. I can't comprehend it. No, obviously not. Obviously not.
I certainly don't support Chelsea. I'm Mansfield Town through and through, and that's it.
Yeah, take one of them and off you pop. Right, let's let's go back to talking about Mansfield Town, because Mansfield matters. Thomas, put in the questions. Thought I was getting a yellow for mentioning rumours. This was very much made for you, my friend. Very much made for you. And Mark as well. No.
Oh.
No. Look, we've had a rumour about a keeper, Harry Lewis from Carlisle. We've just had a rumour about Ruben Rodriguez, who plays for Notts County, is nearly a done deal. Take these yellow cards, look at them hard, look at yourself in the mirror and understand we don't do rumours unless you can state a solid source.
Can I just correct you, Craig?
Matt, in the comments, I know you've been good.
A sauce is not a sauce if it's solid. How the hell do you pour it on your chips?
Well, this is true. And Matt, in the comments, I know that you've been good so far. But I already gave you a yellow card in our chat earlier, and I will pull out the red. Luke's been in touch. Is this my old mate who I used to work with? It is. Wilco, I used to work with this guy at Derby County Community Trust. Hope you're doing well, my friend. What would be your perfect signing at the end of the window? It's a very good question. I think, for me personally, I'm comfortable with the goalkeeper situation. I know everyone else isn't, right? I'm comfortable enough with it. But I think we're short on a defensive midfielder for me. We need somebody with a little bit of grit. I know we're not going to get a Jamie McDonald type figure because they just don't exist. But we need somebody with a little bit of grit, a little bit of nous, someone who can just come in, clatter a few people, and just mop things up for it. We need a caretaker, Al, is what we need. We need a defensive midfielder caretaker, can come in with his mop and bucket, sweep things up and keep things tidy.
We need a 20 years younger Jamie Maguire. That's what we need. I think John would have done that job admirably if he was a bit younger.
I've got a name for you.
Oh.
It's not a rumour, so don't get your card out. It's just an idea.
Oh.
George Lapsley.
Attacking midfielder, though, isn't he?
Well, yes, but he's got experience and he's played at different clubs and he's played at the levels we're talking about. And I'm not talking about a long-term investment either. He's a spare where he is at the moment. And I don't think he left the club because he wanted to. He left the club because somebody offered him a lot of money along with Hawkins. But I think he would fit in quite well. But that's just my idea.
I don't mind that. Can operate in a number of positions and obviously knows Nigel Clough quite well. I don't know how often he's playing for Bradford though. That's
well, he's not playing very often. I think that's the. I think
he's on the bench the other week.
He's a fringe player there at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, we'll certainly see. Keep your comments coming in and have your say on your team. Wilco, hope you're doing well, my friend, and please send my best regards to everyone at Derby County Community Trust as well. It's been a long time since I was there now, but still think of them in very high regard. Let's go back to all things the last two games then. We need to talk about it, don't we, Clive? The strange decision at the end of the second half. I've got no idea what the referee was playing at or what even he'd given.
It's crazy. One incident and he got three things wrong. I mean, what can happen to that official now? What should happen to that official won't happen. We know that. But three things blatantly, 100 diametrically wrong. Three things wrong about what he decided to do. And that's not including the added time. I'm talking now about the way he reacted to the circumstances that he found himself in. But it's not like it's the first time it's happened to us, is it?
No, this is very true. It just seems to happen a lot, but it was just farcical, Alan, and that's why I was even more baffled when Clough came out and said that Lewis Reed had got a red card, because I just didn't see it. I think I was still staring. Like, me and Jim were watching it here, and I think we were sort of still staring at the TV and looking at each other going, "You've got any idea what's just happened?"
Well, it must have been either near the tunnel or in the tunnel, because I didn't see anything, untoward like that. I didn't see the end of the bit where it were moving off towards the players or whatever, because they normally go and shake hands with everybody, don't they? Intermingle with their players. And
it was in the tunnel. It was in the tunnel. My spy in the tunnel heard it.
Oh, right. Spy in the tunnel.
Yeah, and what he said, and you have to take this on face value, what he said to the referee says, "How long have you been a blind, biased, cheating bastard?"
And of course, need to clarify there, that's just completely made up, and we've got no knowledge of that being true whatsoever. That is possibly as true as Aaron Lewis signing for Everton in the next half an hour for £7.8 million, which is also, Matt in the comments, about as solid a rumour as much foundation or as much fact as the Evans thing you messaged me about earlier that's doing the rounds. I'm not even going to go into that anymore, because I will start throwing yellow cards around like this sweets pantomime, right? Anyway, let's all be zen and all be calm and start to talk about games going forward and what we need and what else comes from that.
Three home games, yay!
3 home games indeed, and 3 home games, which is exactly what we need. We're going to look ahead to all of those games coming up as well, because we've got a very busy February coming up soon indeed. But let's just round off on the 2 games. As frustrating as the Stevenage game was, Clive, we took a point from it, and as frustrating as the Plymouth game was in terms of our first 20 minutes, we took a point from it. At least we're saying that we're able to adapt and we're able to throw things in, because we seemed a little bit light on the bench on Tuesday as well, and to go such a long way.
And given all that, undefeated in 2026.
Exactly. And I'm still as baffled by this, Alan, as the next one. I'm loving it and I'm enjoying it, but I just think back to that first 20 minutes at Barnsley when we were 2-0 down on Boxing Day and thinking, is this where we start to absolutely fall down?
So it just shows you, don't it? We're all the same, 2-0 down. I thought, oh dear, here we go. But you can ask Jeanette. I was sat there listening and watching the match, and I said to Jeanette, we're going to win this. After that first goal went back in, I said, we're going to win this. And we did. And we've played reasonably well ever since. You know, we've had the few minutes, like 20 minutes at Plymouth, where we just weren't at the races. So he changed things and it worked. And every time things don't seem to work, we seem to have the idea now to change them, you know, when it's time in the game. And, you know, it's working. And long may it continue.
Well, there you go, Clive. I've learnt something new on this Thursday evening. Thursday, the 29th of January, 2026, at 8:04. It's going to go down in the history books as the moment that I learnt that Alan Wilson, in his former life, was not a refuge collector for Mansfield District Council. He was, in fact, Mystic Meg, who used to do the 1990s National Lottery. Yeah, he could foresee that good fortune. And we're going to put that to the test now, Alan, because I'm going to get you to use your mystic powers to find out what to state what I'm about to press. Let's see if he's been paying attention to how the format of the show works over the last 2 years. Alan Wilson, aka Mystic Meg, what part of the show is about to come now?
Sponsored by Actifier.
Protect what matters most with Actifier Limited, your trusted local fire safety experts in Nottinghamshire. Proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters podcast. From fire extinguishers and alarms to emergency lighting, pat testing and risk assessments, they've got everything you need for your business to stay safe. Affordable, reliable, professional. Because when it comes to fire protection, there's no room for compromise. Call Actifier Limited today or visit actifier.co.uk. Be ready, be safe, act now. Actifier Limited, proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters podcast.
We're the Mansfield Matters crew, making podcasts just for you. Some show up, some disappear, but the Stags bring us all here. Through the ups and downs we stay, talking Mansfield Town every day.
What was it, 38 and 52, those 7 numbers you gave me for Friday night, Alan? Yeah,
it'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Perfect.
Really nice.
Okay, welcome back to the Mansfield Matters podcast, the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters. Right. I warned you, Thomas Nate, I warned you not to bring this up. Yellow card. Yellow. It's one more of these. I'm making a red one for next week. Not saying it's true about Evans, but I wouldn't complain with a 750k for a 200k player is great business on our end. Yes, it would be great business, but where's the fact behind it? Where's the Why would... move on, Craig. We have a busy period coming up, but before we delve into all things podcast predictions, we should focus a little bit on where we're going, because the title of the episode today is Destination Unknown, and the reason that I've done that is a little play on the old mileage when you get lost down those country roads in deepest, darkest Plymouth, but also it's to have another sneaky look at the league table. And 8 points off the playoffs, Clive, with 3 games in hand. 7 points clear of the drop zone with 1 game in hand. Wycombe sitting in 8th place in the league, not too far around us. Could be a big indicator of where we're wanting to go, or are we just happy to continue to quietly go about our business, grinding out the occasional 1-1 draw at these deepest, darkest places, and winning our games at home? What are we happy to do? Where are we actually going? What are we wanting to do?
Well, whatever I say won't have any truth in it, because I'm going to say I'd be happy with security and being in this league next year. And I mean that. But of course, as soon as we get 2 more wins under our belt and we're starting to look much more like a promotion side than a relegation side, all our attitudes change and we become unrealistic. And then we set ourselves up for disappointment when we don't get to that point. For me, a successful season will be safety, midfield safety, and a good cup run.
It's an interesting one for me, Alan, because the league table is so tight. People are trying to draw me into conversations about us putting together a playoff charge. And to be honest, I'm not massively entertaining it yet, because I look at that league table and I look at the the fragility of some of our play sometimes. Tuesday night was a prime example, so poor in the opening half an hour. We weren't great at Stevenage in spells either. And there's been other dribs and drabs in games where I thought, if they score here, we could be in trouble. And it's that tight that I just, in the back of my head, I just know it could dip a little bit. But at the same time, I'm thinking, obviously, it would be lovely to go and push on. I look at this like the season after we got to the playoff final where we lost at Wembley. I look at this as that season where we were rebuilding the squad a little bit. We made those key signings in the January window, didn't we? I think we brought in Alfie Kilgore, Lewis Reed. I think we brought in DKD that window as well, didn't we? And we sort of slowly pushed on and we missed out on the playoffs by 1 goal on goal difference. And of course, that didn't meet the objective that season because the objective was to try and get to the playoffs again and to try and, go one better than we'd done the previous season. But what it did was it gave us a huge amount of momentum going into the next campaign and bringing a good quality squad together. And if we can do that and put ourselves in on the cusp of going on to do something next season, we can start the work off the pitch, which is to try and extend the Bishop Street stand a little bit, to try and increase that capacity, because as much as I'd love us to go up to the Championship this season via the playoffs and, maybe fluke it and have one of those seasons where you look back in 10, 20 years' time and think, bloody hell, how did we do that? I know we'd come crashing straight back down and we wouldn't be able to maximise on the potential in terms of ticket revenue, etc., etc. I'd much rather us be able to do that. And if that means staying here for 2 more years or another year and being a little bit more pessimistic and negative, then fire your shots, mate, like I'm firing yellow cards at you.
I just think, like I said last week, get 50 points or however many we think safety will assume. I think 50, but, depending on what other people think. And then you can move from there. Keep the squad or most of the squad, the ones that is wanting to keep on, same as Oates and the rest of them. I'd like to see him tie the goalkeeper up somewhere along the line for a longer contract and have a go again next year. Keep building, get some different players in the summer, because there's some that are old enough, to be put to grass now or, find a new club, get a little bit younger talent in and, make a play again next year. But I'm same as Clive. Safety this year is paramount because if we did go up, like you said, I just don't think we'd be able to handle it.
Right, let's put Alan Wilson's mind reading skills to the test then, Al. Which direction is the show about to go in now?
I would say podcast predictions.
2 out of 2.
The game of luck, who gives up, don't mess it up. I hear you say, how do you play? Win, lose or draw, then pick a score and one more thing. Pick a hero, don't score 0, that's the game. But we're not fools, this game has rules. It gets on time, you'll be fine, remember the rhyme. Podcast predictions. Podcast predictions. Remember the rhyme. Guess on time, you'll be fine. Remember the rhyme. Podcast predictions.
Right, podcast predictions time then. And first and foremost, let's start off by giving some results from all things the last 2 games. Now, you'll have seen the results maybe from the game at Stevenage if you follow us on social media. If you don't, then I'll quickly recap them for you. 3 people for the Stevenage game predicted a 1-1 draw, and they also picked Liam Roberts as their fantasy captain. So the joint winners with 19 points for the Stevenage game were Stephen Pound, Limbo74 and Johnny Rotten. Best picks of the fantasy captains for Stevenage were Lucas Aikins and Aaron Lewis. That have got you 9 points apiece. Moving on to Tuesday night, then 11 people predicted a 1-1 draw, but 3 picked Ryan Sweeney as their fantasy captain. So the joint winners were Jim Evans, Limbo74 and the podcast predictions guru Ben himself. 5 people, however, were caught out by Will Evans being missing from the matchday squad and picked up -5 points as a result, which means at the end of Tuesday's game, the current top 5 looks like this. I'm in 5th. I think this is the best I've ever done this season. Watch this go dreadfully wrong for me now over the next couple of games or so, with 272 points. Olivia Wilson then in 4th on 275, as is Limbo 74. Jumping up to 2nd, 10 points behind the leader, is Chris Vincent on 288. Matt Piercy remains in front with 298, despite having picked Will Evans as his fantasy captain for Tuesday night and therefore losing 5 points. So he could have been even further in front had he not picked Will Evans in that one. The best pick of the bunch for Tuesday, of course, was Ryan Sweeney with 11 points. Liam Roberts and Bailey Cargill would have got you 6 apiece. Hendry and Russell would have got you 5. Hewitt would have got you 4. Oates and Iro 3. Dave and Big Vic would have got you 2. Blake Tracy, Bolton, Lewis, Akins, Noyle, and Little Nobby Welsh would have got you 1 and -5 for anybody else. Right, let's delve into looking at Wycombe then, shall we? Clive, I'm going to start with you. Wycombe at home on Saturday.
2-1, Sweeney.
Is that a win?
Yeah.
Thank you. Alan?
2-0 win, Cargill.
Interesting choice. I am going to go for a 3-1 win, and I am going to go for... I'm going to pick one of the new boys. I am going to go for Big Vic for my pick of fantasy captain. So there you go. If you want to play along with podcast predictions, you can do so via the link in the description. As always, you can play it whenever you wish to do so. And yeah, we really look forward to you taking part. Now, if you want to ask us any Mansfield Town themed questions, you've got about 5 minutes or so to get them in. And we will look to answer them. Anything Mansfield Town related you wish to ask us, then you can feel free to do that. Right, let's see if Alan Wilson can get a hat-trick. Alan, so far you've correctly guessed the ad breaks. You've correctly guessed podcast predictions. Can you correctly guess the third and final item from tonight's show?
It's got to be Alan, where's you been?
All right.
Alan, where's you been? Alan, where's you been? Alan, where is your babe? Alan, where's you been? Alan, where's you been? Alan, where is your babe? Alan, where's you been? Alan, where's you been? Alan, where is your babe? Alan, where's you been? Alan, where's you been? Alan, where is your babe?
So this one could be quite an interesting one because Clive picked up 5 points in the last round of Alan's Wage You Bin, meaning he's 2 points behind me on 7. So Clive, this could be an interesting battle between you and I. So there we go. Alan, I've got a quick question for you. How many Alan's Where's You Been have you got prepared?
I do them week by week.
Week by week, so it's just one. It's all good, right?
Yeah.
Let's go then. You know how it works by now. Alan Wilson's got a random football team that he's picked at random. He's going to give us 5 clues. If we guess it after the first clue, it's 5 points. Then 4, then 3, and so on and so on and so on. Alan, where's you been?
Right. Question 1. This team reached the semi-final of the FA Cup in 1983-84 season. They reached the semi-final of the FA Cup.
Oh, okay. Who do you want to go first?
I'll go Clive and then you.
Stoke City.
It is a football league team.
Stoke City.
Incorrect.
Sheffield United.
Incorrect.
Okay.
Question 2. Their capacity is 19,700. The capacity of the ground, 19,700.
Okay. This time, Alan.
Same order again, Clive and Chris.
This time, when Clive's answered, don't say if he's right or wrong. Wait until I've done. So we've
Okay.
Jeopardy. Clive.
I'm thinking Millwall.
Bradford City.
Incorrect. Right, for 3 points, it's an anagram.
Oh no.
Yeah, well, you got it last week. That's why I tried to change it around a little bit. And the anagram is this week, it's not the ground, it's the actual team I'm after, okay? This is the anagram of the actual team I'm after. Pam Yell Yogurt. PAMYELLYOGHURT. Pam Yell Yogurt.
I think I've got it. I think.
Oh. Has Clive got it?
I'll go with that.
Are you asking?
Yeah.
Plymouth Argyle.
I also have Plymouth Argyle.
Plymouth Argyle is correct.
There you go. So 3
Well
points.
done.
3 points apiece. So I've still got a 2-point lead. That was.
Alan, where's you been? Alan, where's you been? Alan, where is your babe? Alan, where's you been? Alan, where's you been? Alan, where is your babe? Alan, where's you been? Alan, where's you been? Alan, where is your babe? Alan, where's you been? Alan, where's you been? Alan, where is your babe?
Right, well, before that, we did ask for any of your questions. I'll give you another couple of minutes if you want to ask them. Thomas has sent us one in, and he says, who do you lot reckon leaves at the end of the season? I say Lewis, Dickoff, Macca and Bowery. It's an interesting one, Alan, because there's a lot of time between now and the end of the season. And Nigel Clough does like to do his business sort of around January to sort of late February time, so players know where they're going with it. Max Dickoff's an interesting one for me because I think he's got some raw young talent. I think he could do with a bit of a development spell out of the club, but I would like to see us sort of push on. I think it probably depends on what our aims are for next season. And as much as I think he can be a utility player for us, and he does have good spells in good games, in some games, should I say, I do agree on the Aaron Lewis front. I think he might have potentially run his cause for us now, and possibly Macca too. Bowery I can see sticking around because obviously he just offers the versatility, and Nigel Clough absolutely loves him. It's tough, Clive, because you never know what Clough's thinking, and you never know where he wants to go. He tends to like to keep groups together. Thinking back to all the managers that we've had in previous years, you could pretty much expect a new squad every summer, but under Clough, people are staying around for a long time.
Yeah, it's a good and a bad thing, though, isn't it? We do need to keep refreshing the team, and that means having some churn, some turnover. You can't do that unless you let people go. And then we've got the odd person that's being lured away because of promotion. That's fine. That's natural. At the end of each season, you've got to shed some weight. Logically, it should always be the old guard. So I'm with Macca, I think. Under any other circumstances, you let Barry go, but he's too versatile. And probably Lucas Akins. And I think then you look at the players who haven't really developed within or made the progress you're looking for. And I think Dickoff sits in there.
Akins is an interesting one, isn't he, Alan? Because, right, obviously, ignoring all the off-pitch nonsense, I would have struggled to have found a reason to give him a contract at the end of the season anyway and retain him for this year. And yet, he does what he does.
He does, yeah. Lucas Akins, you get exactly what it says on the tin. With Lucas, you know, is dependable. I think that's one of the reasons when Hewitt's fit is not quite getting back in the team yet, and maybe Noyle to a certain degree. Obviously, we'll find out Saturday, because Akins, apart from penalties, is likely to score a goal, even though he's been at right back. I mean, he's done 3 in last two in last four, hasn't he, or something like
Something
that?
along those, yeah.
You know, it is a tough one.
Yeah, very, very frustrating.
I would like to see Dickov stay, but maybe go out on loan and see how far he can progress that way. Because, like you say, I think there is some raw talent. We saw that with his first match, but he hasn't really shown anything since.
Yeah, that's very true.
I think I'd let Tumble go. I think.
How is he still here? I think we sort of forget about him and sort of brush over the cracks with him. I think he's one of those that's going to sort of fall into that unfortunate category of not quite sure what his purpose is going forward.
I think he's lost appetite as well, if I'm being honest. But that's probably inevitable when you come over and then don't get the time you're looking for.
Yeah.
And it's a long way. I mean, he's escaped a year of Trump. I suppose that's the value.
And on that delightful political note, which I'll give you a verbal yellow card for because I can't find me homemade thing. I think that's an appropriate time. And before we do, let's round up with final comments. Wycombe at home on Saturday starts the first of a few home games. Thinking back to the game at their place, Alan, we do sort of owe them one a little bit, but we know we've got to sort of step it up because they're starting to find form again, aren't they? If we want to continue our good run, we've got to step it up.
Yeah, but I mean, look at all the who are, when we were going to play Bradford, and look what we did to them. There's no reason why we can't turn them over. It's that early start and early goal that I prefer. I'm predicting 2-0 win. I think we'll be all right on Saturday.
And a good opportunity, Clive, for other players to sort of come back into the fold. Obviously, Lewis Reed will still be missing. Probably looking at Dave in midfield. Could be an opportunity for Noyle to get back in the side and have a start because Akins is potentially going to be missing. He went off with an injury. Reece Oates maybe as well. You don't... there's plenty of opportunities for people to come back and shine. Little Nobby Welsh is due for another run, isn't he?
I mean, the whole point of having a squad the size you have is that you can use players on rotation. And if you've had a game on Tuesday night and a long journey to boot, you're going to want to freshen people up anyway. So I don't have any anxiety about that. I think Sweeney is going to want to win this game because he had an absolute shocker down at their ground. And he'll want to put that right. That's why I've chosen him as my hero.
Oh, there you go. Right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you guys for watching. I know it's been a bit of a shorter one this evening. Not a lot to really talk about, other than sometimes we're at a risk of just going over the same things over and over again. So we shall love you and leave you. Give you time if you're of the gym persuasion to maybe go and watch Love Island on catch up or any other variation of TV that you want to watch. So yes, there you go. Right. I'm going to press this button now. Farewell.
Good.
That's all we've got time for on tonight's Mansfield Matters podcast. My thanks, as ever, to the Mansfield Matters podcast panel, and of course to you guys at home for watching and for listening. Don't forget to get involved with podcast predictions. The link that you need is in the description as the Stags face Wycombe Wanderers at the One Call Stadium on Saturday. A reminder, you must submit your guesses no later than 1 hour and 30 minutes. That's 90 whole minutes before kick-off on Saturday, and that you can't pick the same player twice. And be sure to follow us on all things social media to find out when we're next going to be live for next week's show. I think it's time for me to go to bed, to be fair. Thanks very much for watching and listening. As I say, we'll see you next week, and hopefully we'll have some more answers or some more clarity or some more thoughts on where the Stags are going. Good night. Protect what matters most with Actifire Limited. Your trusted local fire safety experts in Nottinghamshire. Proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters podcast. From fire extinguishers and alarms to emergency lighting, pat testing and risk assessments, they've got everything you need for your business to stay safe. Affordable, reliable, professional. Because when it comes to fire protection, there's no room for compromise. Call Actifire Limited today or visit actifire.co.uk. Be ready, be safe, act now. Actifire Limited, proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters podcast.